I do know that the comedian that we're going to have on the radio right now was one of the big ones in NBC's Last Comic Standing, was in the top 5 in one of the big seasons of that. Her name is Tammy Pescatelli, and she's on the line right now. Good morning, Tammy. How are you?
Good morning, guys. How are you?
What are you, Italian?
No, I'm 100% Irish. We just have there's some Ellie in Irish. They've been keeping it quiet over there. They don't tell anybody.
I didn't know that. This is we're in a big Italian town. A lot of Italians.
I know. I'm
so.
familiar with it.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have a home in Northwest Pennsylvania. My brother lives in Rochester, so I'm always through by where you guys are.
So you're going to be hosting Ladies of Laughter, the 2016 competition finale at the Turning Stone, which is coming up on the 20th. That's this Saturday, by the way.
It's Saturday, right?
This Saturday, yeah. Here's the thing. It's cute that you said comedian, which is so rare because I never really, when I started comedy years ago, I mean, I'm 22 years in this business, they didn't have a differentiation really. You just wanted to be a comic. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like you just tried to be funny. You weren't like as a woman. So years ago, like in 2000, I won this contest. Right?
Oh,
so much fun.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Now, am I losing you guys?
You were clicking out, but we're with you 100%.
Yeah, and I didn't go anywhere. I'm just sitting in the same spot. It's so funny how satellites move.
It is. That's what happens. Yeah, the world. So, what do you think? What do you think about the current political? I mean, it's got to be a part of your show right now, right?
No, I don't talk about politics because I think it's all ridiculous. And I also think that anybody who could be influenced by a comedian on how to vote is absolutely an idiot and shouldn't even find their way to the polling booth.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, I don't think that that's my place. I think there are some comics that do political comedy so well. I'm more of the vein. I talk about my family, but I also talk about like everyday things. I'm not politically correct. I'm tired of this political uptightness, really. These millennials, I could take the whole generation out with a jar of peanuts.
That is so funny. You know what is really true, though? I've heard this. I used to own a comedy club, and I love comedy. And talking to comedians today, a guy we just recently had in studio, a guy by the name of Greg Morton. Greg, who I love, Greg said that it's becoming more and more difficult to do the college scene today because the kids are brought up in such a politically correct world. You say something, and they're all of a sudden everybody goes quiet, and they think that you've crossed the line.
Right.
Well, it's funny because I know that Greg said that, and I love Greg, and he's so funny, but I said I felt that way for a long time. They lap themselves with their idiocy. You're more than welcome to joke about anything you want unless it offends somebody. Well, it's going to offend anybody. You can't even talk about lint. Somebody's grandma died of a lint inhalation at some point.
You're right.
Know?
Yes.
So it's so ridiculous, and I think that it's so hard as comics. I have stopped. That was part of my thing when I tell you that I'm not for the politically correct. About 3 years ago, I made a decision that if you like me, I want you to love me and come back with 4 friends. And if you don't, that's okay. I'm not for everybody. Don't come back. I'm not dirty. I don't talk about sex stuff unlike 5 million other comics that are out there. I just talk about stuff that annoys most of the normal. I am for the regular red-blooded, I don't care who you vote for, American.
Yeah. Well, listen, life is crazy today. So it's easy. There's enough material out there to grab, and you make people laugh with that stuff.
And I don't even have to leave my house. That was my special last year on Netflix. Was called Finding the Funny, and people the tagline was, "Where do you get your material?" I wake up every day. There's something crazy.
That is, boy, that Netflix, those opportunities to do shows like that, it's really, really a whole new world of opportunity, and boy, so many people are getting their TV from places like Netflix. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing how much it just takes off after a while, and we didn't know what it was 4 years ago. Imagine that. And imagine now it's the most influential place to be in entertainment.
You can tell you're a little older if you're like, well, how does it does it come to you on a disc? You get it in the mail? Because that's what Netflix used to be, right? You'd get your stuff in the mail. Andrew Dominio, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to go back to, talking about, a successful comedian when they can take a situation like that. We recently spoke with Jim Brewer, who was also at the Turning Stone recently. And, I mean, that was a big source of his material is the fact that he's raising 3 teenage daughters. So, I mean, how much of it derives from your children alone?
Well, I only have one son who I named after my husband to prepare for Alzheimer's because I'm older. But most of it comes from literally, I grew up in the first half of my career, I talked about my parents, my brothers, my grandparents. The second half of my career so far, hopefully there's more. Hopefully it's not just the second half to the end. At least I need at least 4 quarters like a football game.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
But it's talking about my husband and my son and his family. So it's a little, and just in general, I have a very Larry David life. Do you know Larry David?
That's Bill.
Yes, I am the female version of Larry David. I am stuck in the middle. I take care of everybody. I'm a little less paranoid and bold, but I have that life. You wouldn't believe the situations that I find myself in.
Give me an example of some of those Larry David type situations.
Well, I mean, I just found I was supposed to be on the local PTA, that Parent Teachers Association board.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then I posted some pictures with a very good friend of mine, Jenny McCarthy. And then the PTA went crazy because she used to be a playmate and then had some autism stances that she took. So then I found myself apologizing for that. Meanwhile, I don't even want to be on the PTA. So here I am fighting to stay on a board that I didn't want to be on in the first place. It took me 3 days. I got fired from my volunteer job.
Listen, there's a reason why they had it was the Harper Valley PTA, remember? That was all about. They'd sit in judgment.
She slept with people's children.
That's a good point.
Not people's children.
Well,
Wait a second, we're not that close to Penn State.
You just had a picture taken with somebody that, the Penn State one. You slivered that one right in there.
Oh, man.
Okay, Tammy Pescatelli, tell me quickly, if you could, about this Ladies of Laughter 2016 competition. How's it going to work?
Well, I just show up. I'm hosting it. I'm the Nick Cannon, the Ed McMahon, if you will, of the evening. But they've had this competition throughout the country. 16 women from New York and Massachusetts, and some even as close over there in Albany and Montreal they're gonna compete for cash. We have some pros, some amateurs, and it's all going to be at Turning Stone this Saturday.
All right, very, very cool.
It's where I got my start. It's the first, when the satellites moved, it's the first thing that I ever did in a big way. I won this in 2000. So, although back then it was called the Bud Light Ladies of Laughter, but you can't tell that because it's been changed on Wikipedia to the Bud Light Ladies of Lather, which is a completely different...
That's a completely different competition.
Yeah, it's a different competition.
Well, listen, it'll be a great show, and you'll be a great host, and you're very funny, and your series on Netflix is still up there. They haven't moved that off, right?
The special, Finding the Funny is on there. My television show, A Stand-Up Mother's on Hulu. So
that's Hulu too. Another place that a lot of people have on their Apple TVs and all that stuff. So
you know what happens? They're all on regular networks. Like the special was on Showtime, then it moves over to Netflix. The television show was on WeTV, it moves over to Hulu.
Okay, and you wrote that special too, right?
I wrote every single thing.
Yeah.
Every single thing. I didn't just write it. I lived it. I'm just narrating.
That's where the Larry David thing comes into play. So. Right.
I just narrate it.
All right, Tammy, good stuff. It's Saturday night at the Turning Stone and Ladies of Laughter 2016 competition finale. 361 show for tickets and information. Thank you, Tammy, for coming on. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys.
Okay, got a break. We'll come right back at WIBX.